Thank you again. I'm so happy to be here and I appreciate every single person that showed up. Um, so I'm going to take you in a little thing here. I want you to take a moment to remember yourself before the world told you who they thought you should be. So for most of us, that's going to be sometime in early childhood. Now I want you to think about three positive things from that age and write those three words down. For me, I was 5 years old, and my three positive words are clouds, music, and dancing. In those three ways, I could see, hear, feel, and imagine everything that was possible. And it felt so simple. Between 5 and 6 years old, everything changed. And it started by trying to fit in and by not listening to the fire alarm inside of me that said, don't do that. It was Easter Sunday. We were at my aunt and uncle's house. I was one of the younger cousins, and another cousin had just arrived at the party. We hid. And I still remember her calling our names. Eventually, we came out of hiding, but the damage was done. She was in tears. I knew it was wrong. I knew it made her sad. I didn't want to be left out either. What I didn't know was that it would be the last time I would see her. 4 months later, we attended her funeral.
Ouch.
We looked at one another with guilt, shame, and sadness. This experience changed me at a cellular level. I didn't know how to feel, process, and move forward without this shadow of regret. It was the beginning of several things that were not easy to move on from. My childhood innocence would never be the same, and simple ways of imagining and being changed too. Sure, I can come up with excuses. I was just a kid. Don't dwell on it. Let it go. But the thing is this, it was the first time I can recall breaking away from myself and my values to do something that wasn't kind, and the impacts chipped away pieces of myself that took a lifetime to reclaim. I became very strong and reliable, fiercely independent, a fixer of problems, not the problem. But in doing so, I lost a special part of myself, that carefree side. My name is Susan Leplae Miller, and like you, I am many things. I'm the youngest of six, the mother of four. I've worn many hats in my life: a free thinking child, a friend, a family member, a student, a corporate butt kicker, a stay at home mom, a volunteer, and an entrepreneur. Life has taught me many lessons. Some kept me stuck, wallowing in self pity longer than I'd like to admit, while others pushed me to take action. In the days of self pity, I remember how it felt. I remember the loneliness, sadness, and fear. I got comfortable there. It was like a warm blanket at times. It was something I knew. Joy, happiness, and love, the things we all crave, felt so far away. And the harder I tried to reach for them, the more inaccessible they seemed. But here's the thing, those feelings of loneliness aren't unique to me. 1 in 4 adults worldwide experience loneliness. Young adults, age 18 to 24, are the loneliest age group. Looking back now, I can see that my unhappiest moments had something in common. I didn't stay true to myself. I didn't know my value, and or I wasn't living my values. This realization changed everything for me, and it became my mantra: know your value, live your values. Of course, this didn't happen overnight. It took reflection, hard lessons, and intentional changes. Today, I want to share with you what this mantra means and how it can empower all of us to live with more purpose and joy. Let's break it down, starting with what it means to know your value. Knowing your value is about understanding your unique strengths, gifts, and contributions, not just in a professional sense, but as a whole person. It's the foundation of self-care, compassion, confidence, love, and respect. Early in my career, I worked with a factory team managing the supply chain to align materials with production schedules. At first, I was a cog in the wheel, focused solely on my job. That changed the day I stepped out onto the factory floor to truly understand my internal customer, the factory team. I asked questions, listened to their concerns, and learned how my decisions impacted their work. Our interactions evolved into a two-way conversation. We shared ideas, discussed potential changes, and aligned our solutions to meet the customer demands. Through collaboration with the factory, industrial engineers, and other teams, including sales, finance, and upper management, we achieved remarkable results. Zero delinquencies on a $3.5 billion contract, all while navigating technology shifts and market pressures. What I learned was invaluable. My value wasn't just managing the supply chain, but in fostering relationships and building trust across teams. By understanding, respecting, and honoring the needs, value, and values of everyone involved, I became an essential part of creating solutions that worked for all. So take a little moment for yourself. What are your unique gifts or skills that you bring to the table? It doesn't have to be just in career, it can be in your personal life. Once we know and embrace our value, the next step is aligning our actions with what truly matters. This brings us to living our values. Living your values is about understanding what's most important to you, your guiding principles, and making choices that reflect them. Call it your gut or your instincts or your intuition, but you know when they're present and you know when they're not present. It requires clarity and courage, especially when external pressures push you towards compromise. One of the more transformative moments in my adult life occurred on September 11th, 2001. Like many of us, I remember exactly where I was when I learned of the tragedy. I was driving to the office with three of my small children in car seats, and my oldest had just been dropped off at kindergarten. Life felt ordinary until that moment when I got the call telling me to turn on the radio. Fear of the unknown took over as I sat in the parking lot of our office building, which had a first floor daycare. I couldn't shake the questions. Were we safe? How could I leave my children here? What if a car came blasting through the windows? We didn't know what was happening in the world. That day shifted my perspective. I realized how much I had taken for granted, especially the regularity of life. So over the following days, my husband and I made some intentional choices and decisions about what mattered most, our family. Shortly after, I'm not an emotional decision maker, so trust me, I had my pros and cons list. I walked into my manager's office and requested a layoff, knowing full well how risky that decision was, especially as a first-generation college graduate of divorced parents. I had worked so hard to build a successful career, but I knew I had to live in alignment with my values. During those years, I devoted myself to giving my family love, support, and stability, while also volunteering, leading committees, spearheading philanthropic initiatives like a gene drive that provided over 8,000 pairs of jeans to those in need. That's a whole story unto itself. I'll tell you one day. And learning the value of compassionate, dignified care for others. Though unpaid, these roles deepened my understanding of leadership, collaboration, and what it means to create a meaningful impact. Eventually, I made my way back to the work world. And while I felt stronger and wiser, returning to work as a midlife woman is not easy. And that's another story for another day. So I'm going to fast forward to 2019. After years of raising 4 children and balancing work, volunteering, and family life, I reached a moment of reckoning. My work environment was out of alignment with my values. And I found myself at a very, very low point, questioning my worth and my purpose. At the same time, I also felt compelled to start writing. I wasn't a writer. But I had to write. Like my spirit had something to say. Sharing and listening to other stories in return. And I did this all on LinkedIn, like that's a professional spot. Don't do it there. Well, I did it anyway. It reignited my sense of community and purpose. By the time the COVID pandemic hit, I used that spark to build a new path, launching my own company and website, reconnecting with my voice, and embracing a new phase of life with clarity and intention. These moments taught me that living your values isn't always easy. Sometimes it means taking a risk, stepping away from what's comfortable, making hard choices, or starting over. But when you know your value and you live your values, you create a life that reflects who you truly are. And that's a legacy worth building. What are your top 3 core values? And are your daily choices aligned with them? Living your values is an act of courage and authenticity. It's also the foundation for making meaningful change. When you know your value and live your values, you take the first steps toward clarity and impact. What gave me strength during my hardest times was the belief and faith that I can do anything I set my mind to if I choose to do it. Don't abandon yourself. You are already valuable. You don't have to prove your worth. Rather, I want you to embrace your worth, to know your value. And then action is where transformation happens. Small, consistent steps aligned with your value and values can lead to meaningful change, whether it's setting boundaries, pursuing a passion project, or advocating for yourself or others. It's about progress, not perfection. Together, we have the opportunity to support and inspire each other to take action. What is one small action you can take today to honor your value or align with your values? It doesn't have to be big, but please make it intentional. And if you answered any of the questions that I've asked along the way, you've already started. Your 3 positive words from the beginning of this talk can be utilized to connect with your core essence and help combat negative feelings. I always go back to the clouds and the music and the dancing. There's only one you. Identifying your unique skills and abilities will remind you of your value. And your 3 core values are pillars to lean on and to lift you as you live your purpose. So thank you for being with me today, and I hope this gave you an opportunity to embrace yourself in the process.